Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Grandmaster Mitra Bagho and today we'll be going over the game between Magnus and Gukesh in the Norway Chess 2025. This was the most anticipated game of the year, the game between world number 1 and the current world champion. So here Magnus was white, Gukesh was black, and Magnus started with d4. Gukesh played knight f6. Magnus kind of surprised Gukesh already, like playing the Jobava, which is not one of the main lines. But it's understandable that Magnus wanted to move away from Gukesh's World Championship preparation. So knight c3, Gukesh went d5, bishop f4, c5, e3. So this is typical job of a London position. Here generally black plays something like ed4, ed4. If black plays knight c6, white has a trap, knight b5. So black generally plays a6, knight f3, knight c6, knight e5, bishop d7. The lines go something like this, the main lines. But here Gukesh played bishop g4, which is thought to be one of his World Championship preparation, and this caught Magnus by total surprise. And he actually thought for a long time on move 5. He thought for 7 minutes and decided to go for bishop e2, which is absolutely not the best move. The best move would have been the normal f3, where black would have gone bishop d7, dc5, knight c6, knight d5, e5, bishop g5, queen a5, knight c3, and long castle. And it's a dynamic equality. It's understandable that Magnus didn't want to go into this kind of preparation, and he wanted a very simple game. So he went bishop e2. Gukesh took bishop into e2, knight c into e2. So white takes with this knight so that white can play c3 and get this knight out here. Black plays knight c6, knight f3, e6, c3, bishop e7, and knight g3. So this is very typical normal position, and as you can see, it's very similar to the London system where the bishop is generally on f4, but the only difference is this knight is generally on d2 and white has a bishop on d3. So as black has managed to exchange the white bishop, black is definitely very good. At least he's equal, if not better. So after knight g3, it's also another idea to stop knight h5, which is one of the main ideas of black to get rid of this London bishop. So black plays castle, white goes queen e2. So white has some kind of plans like rook d1, dc5, and e4. Black goes h6, white goes rook d1. Black moves away from the rook's file. White plays a3, rook d8, h4. So h4 is also a very typical idea in the London system where white tries to go h4, h5 and gain a lot of space on the king side, so that in the future there might be some kind of pawn storm with g4, or even in the endgame it's also very useful. Black goes queen a4, knight e5, knight e5, bishop e5, knight d7, and bishop e4 back. So it's still absolutely equal, like there's no problem with the black's position. And so black plays queen a6, trying to get rid of the queen, and if white exchanges queens, it's actually just a dead drop. Like if white takes her, it's actually a big mistake, because after this, now this file is open and black can simply play c4 and create this backward pawn for white, and it will be a target for throughout the game. Black can play knight b6, knight a4, and keep putting pressure on the pawns. So Magnus plays queen f3, but this queen a6 idea is also very useful to stop white from castling. So as you can see, the queen is controlling the f1 square. But black played bishop d6, white played knight h5, black took, white takes back, and now black played a very interesting move. I don't think it's that required, but of course it's a very nice move. Black played e5. So the idea behind this is to get this queen back to the king side, and if the queen gets back, there should be no attack on the black king. So the point of e5 is if white takes the pawn, black goes queen g6, g4, rook e8, rook into d5, and knight e5. The brilliant move. Now black is threatening knight d3 and knight g4, and if white takes here, black has queen b1 and black wins the rook. So white didn't take on e5, white goes queen g3, queen g6, queen g6, fg6, knight g3. So this is a very drawish position. White, you can say white is the favorite here because black has double pawns, but still this should still be a draw. ed4, cd4, c4. So black creates some kind of pawn majority on the queen side. So black is trying to go b5, a5, b4 and create some kind of pass pawn. White plays knight e2, threatening to go knight c3 and create an attack on the backward d5 pawn. Black goes b5, knight c3, knight f6. So even though white is threatening this b5 pawn, he can't take it because black can go this rook to b8, knight c3 and take here. And so white played rook b1, protecting this. Rook b8, f3, a very nice move. The white king can hide on f2, and in the future white is preparing for an e4 break. a5, and now it's a very important moment for white. White finds a brilliant move, b4, just stopping this queenside pawn storm once and for all. If black takes here, it's just lost because white takes with the rook and this pawn falls. So black takes the cb3, the end person, rook b3, b4, a b4, rook b4, and if white takes here, it's just a simple draw, like there's nothing more to play. So white keeps the rook, plays rook a3, hitting the a5 pawn. Black plays rook e8, king d2. So black was threatening this d2 e3 pawn. Black plays rook b2, king d3, rook g2. So black gets this pawn, but white gets the a5 pawn, and it's still a draw. But now this d5 pawn is under a bit of pressure. White can create some kind of protected pass pawns with e4. So it's already becoming tricky for black. Black still manages to play the best moves. Black goes rook g3. White goes rook f1, protecting this. Black plays g5, knight g5, rook g5. So now black has managed to create a pass pawn, the h pawn. But also white has a potential to create a connected pass pawn with e4. White goes rook fa1, h5. White exchanges one pair of rooks. Takes, king h7, and finally white gets the e4 break in. The break that he was trying for so long with f3. Black takes here, white takes here, and it's now some sort of a race, you can say. This pawn is going for the queen, this pawn is going for the queen, and so it's just about to see which pawn is faster. Black plays h4, e5, h3. So h3 is a very nice move actually. With so less time on clock, Gukesh finds this, but actually it's not really needed. Black could have played knight d7. I think the point that Gukesh missed is after e6 he can play rook g3, king c4 he can play knight d6 and it's a fork. If white goes king c2, he can play knight f6, e7, rook e3, and now white has to play this brilliant knight d5, or else white just loses the e7 pawn. Black takes, e8 queen, rook into e8, rook into e8, h3, rook e1, knight f5, king d2 and g5, and it's just a draw. And if white played king d2 instead of king c2, black can just simply repeat the position with check, check, check and check. But instead of knight d7, he played h3, which is still a good move, but it becomes a bit complicated. White takes the knight, h2, f7, h1 queen, f8 queen. It's very rare that after queening, the game is still so interesting. It's generally either win or lost. Here again, after f7, Gukesh plays rook g3 first, king d2, h1 queen, and f8 queen. So it's a very crucial point at this point. And There's actually only one move that saves the game for black, and it's very difficult to find it with so less time. It's actually an idea that we have already seen, and it's rook g2, king d3, rook g3. So black is just repeating with the rook. The point is, if white goes king c4, now black has queen c6 check. So if white goes here, black can take this with a check and black is winning. And if white goes queen c5, he can just simply pick up the rook. So instead of king c4, white can also play something like king c2. Then black would have to find this queen g2, king b3, queen b7. So again, if king c4, black has queen c6. And for king a4, black can simply take the rook. And it's a draw. Queen g8, king g6, queen 8, king h6, queen h8, king g8. And similarly, if white goes king a2, again black will take this rook c3. White goes queen g8, king g6, queen e6, king h7, and here white can even sag the rook h8, king h8, queen e8, king h7, and it's just a simple draw. But here Gukesh makes a big mistake. Gukesh plays queen h6, king c2. So now the main difference in rook g2 and queen h6 is that after queen g6, white keeps on moving to the side. King b2, queen b6, king a2. So after rook g2, white goes king a3, and now the main point, queen b2 check, king f4, queen c3, and now if you remember from the previous lines, if the queen was on b7, so white didn't have this rook a6 check, but now white has it. Queen h8, king g6, rook a6 check, king f8, queen f8, king e4, rook e6, and here Gukesh resigned, but it's already lost because if black goes something like king d5, white can play queen f5, king c4, there is rook c6 and takes the queen. If black takes the pawn, there is rook e4, king d3, queen f3 here and takes the rook. And if black goes underneath the pawn, king d3, white can play queen f3. If black goes king d2, queen g2 check. If black goes here, it's a skewer. And if black takes this, white can take this, rook e4, and just simply take the win. So this was the game between the world number 1 and the world champion, and it was a brilliant game. And Carlsen actually had an accuracy of 98.9, so it's a perfect game for him. But Gukesh also played very well, fought till the end, and he just blundered queen h6 when he had only 10 seconds on the clock. So can't blame him either. And thank you everyone for watching. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. Thank you.